Welcome back to the channel. If you guys remember, we pulled the motor out of this, and one of the things that you guys tell me all the time is, Colt, you go to the car wash too much. So today, I paid the piper and got ourselves a pressure washer. All right, so I picked this up from Big R, mostly because price point to PSI, or self-proclaimed PSI, was the best. And they had it in stock. This is all foreign land. There we go, add oil. All right, well, I better add oil. This is ultimately probably gonna save me a bunch of money, but right now I feel like I might never financially recover from it. All right, dang, it even came with fancy oil. How about that? Only made a little mess with these extremely horrible gas cans. I despise these new ones, every one. See if we can get it to start. All right, win. All right, now if you guys watched the last episode, I was talking about this power steering pump and how they don't make a high pressure pump that's a direct bolt-in for this motor. So we're taking this bracket off because I'm gonna have to duplicate this bracket and make a new mount for a new pump.
Good job. I know it was kind of expensive, but I think it was definitely worth it. Look at that, it's starting to show metal instead of black grease. I don't think he's ever been able to wash the forklift, so I think he's having fun. What do you think?
Well, we got a good chunk of it. I think we need to hit it with a little more degreaser though. At least the bag stayed in. So funny that this was a Chevy Tracker, Suzuki motor. That's a Mitsubishi emblem there.
Cherries are ready. Good cherries. I love our cherry trees. Plums. Baby plums. So good. Look at that spraying face. Concentration. Pretty clean.
Way better than it was.
Yeah, it is.
Good thing about the desert, give it 5 minutes, everything will be dried out. All right, 5 minutes later, this thing is bone dry, but I went ahead and sprayed it with more degreaser again. I just want to try to get everything cleaned up as good as possible. But while we wait on that, we're gonna head in here. So I'm genuinely excited to tell you guys about this. Now, if you guys are familiar with Suzuki stuff at all, then you've definitely heard of Trail Tough Suzuki stuff. And they've been making Suzuki stuff for forever, including, as far as I know, they were the first ones to do the 2-liter swap into a Samurai. And they saw how cool this thing is gonna be, and they want me to send them the harness. They're going to rebuild it. So what they need is exactly what you would have to send them as well, which is the engine harness, the dash harness, the computer, the CPU basically, or ECM, however you want to call it. And you would also want your display bezel from your original Samurai. The gauge cluster, which somehow they set up for new stuff. So I think it's time to cue the music and start pulling some wiring apart. So this is one of the things when I'm working on vehicles and I'm like stripping one down, if I come across stuff like this, obviously I'm not gonna use the rag joint part here, but these little U-joints, these little steering U-joints, I will 100% save those and use them in a future project somewhere, guaranteed. There we go. Pulling a steering column's almost like pulling a motor. You gotta guess what's still hooked up. In this case, I still have one wire. Come on. This one is a really bad design of a plug. And I cannot seem to get it out. This is how you end up stabbing your hand. Bad designs. Bad designs. There we go. Got it.
Yay! Yeah.
We're gonna need that. That's our OBD2 plug-in. It's hot in there. I think it's time to spray this down again. See if that degreaser got it this time. We'll find out.
He's on a mission to make sure all that grease and grime is off. He's totally soaked. He's walking funny too. I'll try to get it for you guys. That's funny.
I don't need to shower today.
That's not true. Look how you're walking. It's funny.
Late start on the day, but motor's cleaned up. Most of the wiring harness is out. I'm gonna run inside, eat a little lunch, dry off, and we'll be back here in just a minute. And just FYI, in case you're wondering why I set this down in here and not left it hanging, is because these hydraulics slowly drain off. So I didn't want to come out to a motor on the ground. So I went ahead and just set it back in here while we go take a little lunch. All right, lunch was good. Had me a little bacon, you know, nature's candy. Some eggs. Which came first, the chicken or the egg? I'm legit, like, let me know. Pants are dry. That's a win. This thing's almost dry. There's just a little bit of water still sitting right there in that valley. Other than that, it looks pretty good. Now we can get back to doing some wiring, which I think at this point, I just gotta keep pulling dash panel parts off. Yep, panel dashes things. Aha! No idea what that is. Got it. I thought I had everything disconnected, but then I realized the airbag controller was still hooked up along with the ground for it. But once I got those, we're able to yank it out. All right, getting closer. What's this? Southwest Montana. Oh, oh yeah. Shifter. There we go. Another part, made in the USA. That's made in Canada. What's crazy to me is so many of the parts in here say made in the USA. Sorry, trying not to sneeze. Getting dust, I think, on this Suzuki Sidekick, Grand Vitara, Chevy Tracker. Track kick is what we, like most of us call them, or just track kicks, but kind of funny anyway. But it's just a lot of pieces from all over still. There's, like I said, there's Mitsubishi, there's Suzuki, there's GM, there's parts made in France, parts made in Canada, and then parts made in the US. So it's like a smorgasbord in here with metric bolts. I know I didn't need to take that off, but I wanted to. I'm honestly not sure what all I need to take off, other than they told me they need every harness on this thing. Every engine harness and every under the dash harness piece. So I'm just gonna give them all the wiring, and then they can do what they want. Oh yeah, just a few wires there. Anybody need a good AC condenser? And some dirty cabin filters? I just got stuff from the mail, and the S10's sitting outside, and I've had a lot of you guys comment about my dents. And I'm just here to tell you that, yes, one day I would like to fix it, but right now, I'm doing this for science. If you guys remember, there was a Mythbusters episode years back where they turned a vehicle into a golf ball, and they gained over 3.5 miles per gallon. So the next time somebody complains about the dents in your rig, tell them you're doing it for science, and maybe fuel economy. That is a lot of wiring. I'm so glad that Trail Tough Suzuki stuff is gonna take this and turn it into a standalone harness and make my life easy. So like I was saying before, we pulled this transmission out of a 1.6/16 valve. And the 1.6 has 6 bolts that hold the crank, and then just 3 for the torque converter, where the 2 liter is 8 bolts, and then 6 bolts on the torque converter. So we're gonna have to see, I'm hoping that the torque converter from the 2-wheel drive 4-speed will fit in this one. But there's only one way to find out. Man, it's seated in there good. Brand new seal. Come out. All right, that was a chore. It's funny how this is the 3-speed that goes to a smaller motor, and this one is the 4-speed that goes to a larger motor. Look at the difference here. I mean, I don't even have to put a mic on that. You can see that that's just tiny compared to this one. On top of the inner workings, I was hoping they'd be the same, but you can definitely tell these are different. So we got to figure out how to make this torque converter work with this flywheel. And it might be, I wonder if these 3 are the same as these 3. Ooh, we might win. Let's try that. Here was the mega bolt. Oh, it'd be so nice if this worked. Does not. We are gonna have to do some machining. So I took the torque converters, set them both on the ground here. You can see how much bigger the TH180, the 3-speed is versus the 4-speed. I mean, the torque converter's bigger, the shaft sizes are bigger, the actual body of this thing is larger, which in turn makes the flex plate have to be offset and bigger. Now the one weak link, I guess you'd call it a weak link, is it only has 3 bolts instead of 6 bolts holding it. And what's funny is I've probably just spent the last 45 minutes looking on the internet for a torque converter, because I know that they made these in a 2-door version. So I figured they had to have a TH180 and a 2-door version. So I was trying to find a torque converter that I could put in here that would still hold the 6 bolts for the flex plate, because that flex plate will absolutely not fit on this motor. So we got to use the original flex plate that's for the 2.0. Now here's the funny thing. After searching around and looking for special torque converters, I was just like, hey, how do you adapt a TH180 to a 2-liter motor? The first thing that popped up on Google was Trail Tough Suzuki stuff again, with a plate that bolts onto that torque converter. So it takes the stock torque converter for the TH180, a plate that takes your stock bolts so you can just run your 3 bolts, and then it's a conversion plate that goes to this one that goes to the 6 bolts. I was just wasting time. So now we know what we need to order, so I'll get that coming, because I really wanted to get this transmission attached to this engine tonight, but that's not gonna happen. At least we know what we gotta do, which is put you back on. But before we put, and that leads me to my next problem. Before I put this flex plate on, I wanted to go ahead and change out the crank position sensor, because it is right here. And while that one is good and works, I mean, I might as well just do it, because it's like a $60 part. Change it out, because when you have the flex plate and then you're going to have the torque converter and you're going to have a full transmission, the only way to get to that is by pulling the motor or the transmission. So nobody wants to do either of those. We'll go ahead and change at least that one electronic for sure. Then we know it's new. Not saying that new doesn't fail out of the box too, but our odds are better. So we pulled you out for nothing, just to look at it, I guess. Here's the 1.6 flex plate, and here is the 2-liter. So you can see here where it meshes up, but there's this gap space. That's exactly what their plate does, is it's this thick, and it goes from the 3 bolt to the 6 bolt, and we'll be good. This will fall right exactly in place where this one was. This is also why I could definitely use a new transmission jack, because this is all the way down. I'm not a short guy. This is not an accessible height for most people. including myself. It's actually kind of high, even at 6'5". So guess we'll pick it up, set it down. Oh yeah, that's not light. Ugh.
Why is it easy to weigh a tuna fish?
Why is it easy to weigh a tuna fish? Because it weighs less than a tuna? I don't.
It comes with its own scales.
Comes with its own scale. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I think that's oil Zorb, like oil soak, and this is kitty litter. I actually think the kitty litter is cleaning this mess up a lot better. It was cheaper, and it kind of smells pretty. Bolt, you're gonna be amazing. Now, I highly doubt they're gonna need all of this wiring. I mean, let's face it, this is like headlight wiring, blinker wiring, everything else. But they've probably ran into issues where people didn't send them enough of the harness, or they started just hacking the harness. Having it like this, pulling it out proper, unplugging each item, and setting it up where they have everything. When they send me an email and says, we need the entire engine bay harness, we need the entire under the dash harness, and we need the gauge cluster from the stock Samurai, that's what we're gonna give them. Plus I have the CPU. We're gonna mail all that off to them, and then they're gonna set this thing up, and we'll get it back, and it's gonna be a plug and play operation. I'm gonna be excited because I know that it's gonna be nice. And this thing is gonna run good. Now, I've had a handful of you guys tell me that I need to teach Shanna how to drive this forklift. Let me explain a couple things real quick. This thing is a death trap. I have no brakes. Yeah, there's literally none. I got this thing cheap, and I was able to get it running and get it working enough. Not working good, but working enough. The throttle is still on your right foot, but your forward and reverse is here, and that's how I stop and go. It's hydrostatic. With my left foot is how I go. This thing is super jumpy, super janky, and let me ask you this. Would you put your wife in a death trap? So I went ahead and hooked the brake pedal back on. That way we have brakes, so if we need them and it tries to take off, I can jump in there, hit the brakes. They never unhooked them, so we should still be able to stop. But it actually rolls pretty nice. Now I know I put the hood on, took it off, and then put it on again, but I realized when I put it on, it'd be easier to push it without it in our way. Got a lot more to grab onto. Now we have this mostly gutted, really good condition tracker. So if you guys remember, I got that tracker that had this motor and everything from Mike in Colorado Springs. And one of Mike's dreams is to see that tracker get built into something. With that being said, I have about 17 somethings that would have to get built before I could even get near that tracker. And I hate to see it sit. So if there's somebody out there that is a tracker person, Vitara, Suzuki track kick person that would build it into something and would film it and would use it, I'll give you a good deal on it, but it has to get built. Like that was one of Mike's stipulations, is that it has to get built. Also, just for grins, I'm gonna pull this harness out too. Don't think I need any of it. I mean, obviously the yellow stuff is airbags, so for sure don't need any of that. But just for grins, we'll pull all that out as well. And that way they have everything. One plan gets stopped, you have to be creative and come up with another one. So in this case, I need to get this front axle forward because we want to have weight towards the front. Obviously, we're not going to stay with leaf springs. The rear axle has to go a little farther back still. But with that being said, let's get rid of some of this stuff. Easiest trick I've ever found to get cotter keys off. So once you get the cotter key part straight, if you just take this end and you can pry against it, put a little pinch on your side cutters, and you'll pull it right out. Oh. Well, that wasn't even tight. I'd like to believe I have impact hands, but I'm gonna say that was loose. Got it. We now have our suspension. You guys like it? For just throwing it together and not trying to like do anything nice. This welder works, man. This is a good welder. Now we're talking. Thing's got mad flavor. Mad flavor. All right, so like I said, the reason I pushed this forward, number one, is because our axle is gonna come forward. I don't know if it'll come forward this far, but it's definitely gonna come forward. Secondly, I wanna make sure I have room to set this motor in, and I'm gonna do something a little different. Trail Tough Suzuki stuff does make bolt-in motor mounts that just go right to these stock mounts, to the engine, if you are running a stock Samurai 5-speed transmission. But because we're going a little bit different and we're gonna do that TH180, and I got some different game plans for the T-cases, that may have gave away a little bit, then we are going to customize all of this. With that being said, we at least have this forward. We can still steer it if we need to. It still goes back and forth. Obviously this camera is a little bit fish-eyed, so it looks like it's really, really far forward here, but it's not as bad as you think. And the only reason it's a little bit fish-eyed is so you guys can kind of get what's going on. Because if I have it super fish-eyed, then it looks really distorted. And if I have it just at regular shot, completely regular shot, then you only get to see this much. You know, you don't want to see that much. You at least want to be able to see that much. Also, I want to tell you guys a few exciting things. Number one, we will be at Four Corners 4x4 week. So if you're on the Four Corners area between September 3rd through the 5th, maybe we'll see you there. Also, we're gonna have the Comanche in the Yukon booth at Trail Hero. If you guys are unfamiliar with Trail Hero, it is a super fun off-roading party, four-wheeling thing, and they have lots of things going on down there. It's in Hurricane, Utah. We get to be able to hang out with our buddy Matt. We're also gonna be in the Yukon booth with the Comanche. It is September 29th through October 4th. So hopefully maybe we'll see you guys there. Unless you see us on the trail or something, we do not have a storefront here at the home. So I don't carry shirts here, things like that. Like if you guys want shirts, they get shipped to you from the website. I cannot do that. I just don't have the ability to do it yet. But we do make an order when we head out to events. So we will have some stuff at the events. Sometimes I actually get some custom stuff made if you're a person that just like only comes to events, and then you can get something a little extra special for the event. So it has been a long day. I'm ready to call it. I'm ready to go in, shower, maybe eat some dinner. See you guys next time. Appreciate you watching. Please make sure you like and subscribe. We really appreciate that. It's free.
It's free.
So we hope you enjoyed this one, and we hope to see you on the next one. Bye. Gonna have to find a box big enough to ship all that wiring out of here. You were good today, Black Diamond. Good job. I don't know about you guys, but if I pull U-bolts off, I save every one of them, because, well, U-bolts.